And I have a simple proposition here. I'm here to ask you for your help. Where I come from, you don't get far unless you ask. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other guy. Give me a look, though, okay? Somehow, if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids.
So how do you explain the performance in Iowa, and why should the voters believe that you can win the national election?
It's a good question. Number one, Iowa's a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. It was a little bit confusing in Iowa, number one. But let's assume it was everything was exactly right in Iowa.
This day, 30 years ago, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison and entered into discussions about apartheid. I had the great honor of meeting you. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto trying to get to see him on Robbins Island.
All right. That's a lie.
You're selling access to the president just like he is. So
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. And no one has ever said that? No one has heard that?
I see it on the TV.
You see it on the TV. No, I know you do. And by the way, that's why I'm not sedentary. I get up and no, let him go. Let him go. Look, the reason I'm running is because I've been around a long time and I know more than most people know. And I can get things done. That's why I'm running. And you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take a nice Number two, no one has said my son has done anything wrong, and I did not on any occasion, and no one has ever said it.
I didn't say you were doing anything wrong.
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
That's what I hear on MSNBC.
You don't hear that on MSNBC. You did not hear that at all. What you heard? Look, okay, I'm not going to get in an argument with you, man.
Well, I don't want to.
Well, yeah, you do, but look, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
It looks like you don't have any more backbone than Trump does.
Dead inside. No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman, and so we have to just change the culture, period, and keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it. It will be a big... No, I really mean it. My words were, and I found that's kind of interesting, the way it was characterized in your papers. The one thing was I was making the point that my generation in '68 faced a crisis, a significant crisis. And to make the point to people in the room that I said, just imagine if the same thing happened in your generation. That's what the context was. No, words matter a lot. And I got the point across. You're the only guys that didn't understand it.
A few moments later.
Over the weekend in Keene, New Hampshire.
In 2014, but I've been here before that. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? And what a neat town.
CNN can now project that Joe Biden will win the state of Texas. This is the story of the night for Joe Biden. It's the biggest projection of the night. Now, obviously, it's the second biggest state, right? California has the most delegates. But for Joe Biden to win Texas, this is the story of the night.
12 seconds later.
By the way, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, this is Val, you switched on me. By the way, I'm Jill Biden's husband. This was the diving board area, and I was one of the guards, and they weren't allowed to, there was a 3-meter board. And if you fell off sideways, you landed on the darn cement over there.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
and he ran a bunch of bad boys. And I did. And back in those days, to show how things have changed, one of the things you had to use, if you used pomade in your hair, you had to wear a bathing cap. And so he was up on the board, wouldn't listen to me. I said, hey, Esther, you, off the board, or I'll come up and drag you off. Well, he came off, and he said, I'll meet you outside. My car, these were all public housing behind it. My car, there was a gate out here. I parked my car outside the gate. And he said, I'll be waiting for you. He was waiting for 3 guys in straight razors. Not a joke. There was a guy named Bill Wright, Mouse, the only white guy, and he did all the pools. He was the mechanic. And I said, what am I going to do? He said, come down here in the basement where mechanics, where all the pool filter is. You know the chain, there used to be a chain that went across the deep end. And he cut off a 6-foot length of chain. He pulled up, he said, you walk out with that chain. And you walk to the car and say, you may cut me, man, but I'm going to wrap this chain around your head. I said, you're kidding me. He said, no, if you don't come back. And he was right. So I walked out with the chain. And I walked up to my car. And they had, those days, you used to remember the straight razor. You'd bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in the rain barrel, get them rusty, get them rusty, put them in the rain barrel, get them rusty, get them rusty, 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 rusty. And I looked at him, but I was smart then. I said, first of all, I said, when I tell you get off the board, you get off the board, and I'll kick you out again, but I shouldn't have called you Esther Williams. I apologize for that. I apologize, but I didn't know that apology was going to work. He said, you apologize to me? I said, I apologize for that, not for throwing you out, but I apologize for what I said. He said, okay, closed the straight razor, and my heart began to beat again.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
We got to get rid of Trump. But what are we going to do about climate change? Now, you say you're against pipelines, but then you want to replace these gas lines. That's not going to work. We got to stop building and replacing pipelines. We got to go vote for somebody else.
My name is Vermin Supreme. I'm a friendly fascist. I'm a tyrant that you should trust, and you should let me run your life. Because I too know what is best for you. Yes, I'm a politician. I will promise you anything your little electorate heart desires because you are my constituents. You are the informed voting public. And because I have no intention of keeping any promise that I make. Vote early, vote often. Remember, a vote for Vermin Supreme is a vote completely thrown away.